Morning, this is Talking Cafe for Mendip today. I'm Bella Lapwood, village agent, and I'm joined by Mike Toop today from the fire service. We're going to be having a quick chat around bonfire night and fireworks and things like that that's coming up tomorrow, and a discussion over what's being carried out in the community with the fire service. So I'll hand over to you, Mike, and you can give us a quick update on fireworks and things like that, some safety around those.
Yeah. Anyway, morning everyone. This year's a little bit different in so much as normally we're encouraging people to go to the outside organised displays, etc. And to the best of my knowledge, I believe that there is one in Yeovil this evening, but it's more of a what I call a drive-in, sit in your car and have a look. This year is all outside displays have been put on hold. So which from our side of things means that most of the general public are going to be going off down to your retailers and buying a few and letting them off in the back garden, which for some years that hadn't really been the case. And if you're going to let them off in your garden, it's also if you're going to have bonfires and sort of such things, give it plenty of thought. As I say, bonfires we discourage because, again, a lot of the gardens nowadays not very big. Last thing you want to be doing is setting fire to your neighbour's fence or your shed and all sorts of such things as that. But it's like with the actual fireworks themselves, make sure they're set off in the sort of like advised manner. Have a bucket of water close by and all such things. With fireworks. When we were kids, everybody always used to have the old sparklers, which looking back on it, got to be one of the most dangerous practices going because you're giving a little child something which is, I don't know how many degrees, and then in the wrong sort of like manner, you end up with burns and right. That will stop. I'm at the fire station at Yeovil at the moment, and that's the system just gone off. I'm not going, but the crews will be, so that will go quiet again in a moment. Right, we're back on sort of business. Yeah. So as I say, if we touch on the bonfire first, if you are going to do it, just make sure that you got. You can't make this up, can you?
Well, it just goes to show that you're doing some work there.
Yeah. Well, they are not myself. Just ordinary sort of dry materials. We know historically some of our residents have used it as an excuse to burn up all that sort of stuff which you shouldn't be burning, i.e. lots of plastic and tires and all such things as that. So just make sure it's good sort of dry. Don't use accelerant, i.e. don't put your petrol and your paraffin on and all such things as that, and just make sure it's in a safe place. Something you have got to always consider is weather conditions. So if the wind's blowing in a particular direction, make sure it's blowing out into the a clear sort of area. Fireworks, as I say, most of us have got our what I call recognised local retailers. We understand occasionally you get a dodgy one down at the local market and sort of such things. Make sure they comply to British standard. Closed box, don't go back, etc., etc. But one of the things I say with bonfire night is animals, whether it be domestics like we've all got cats, dogs, etc., etc., which don't like them. So your area, you're covering a lot of the rural sort of part of Mendip, I take it.
Yeah.
So a consideration there is going to be your livestock, like your cattle, like your horses. I know historically horses will soon do sort of damage. What you sometimes find is some of the owners will let them out into the paddock. There's less chance of doing any sort of danger. We recognise that bonfire night and New Year's Eve would generally be the time to people are going to be letting off fireworks. So what we suggest is if people are going to be doing it on a time other than those recognised dates, is to make sure you let your neighbours know. We had a case a couple of weekends ago, a little place called South Petherton, and somebody decided they were going to have a bonfire or a firework party that night. Of course, none of the neighbours knew about it, and they had all sorts of issues with pets and animals, which didn't like the bangs and the crashes and the sounds that they were making. Also, when we're in the villages, consideration to what we call the fallout. So if your rockets go up, they've got to come down. And where they're going to come down, make sure it's not anywhere near barns and sort of combustibles. Thatch is another sort of favourite. Thatch and fireworks don't go together very well. In the summer months, the consideration then is going to be your standing crops. You sometimes get it with what I call wedding celebrations and that sort of thing. They'll let off a load of fireworks, and providing the fallouts in the right, if they're like on ordinary grass or whatever, not a problem. But it is just that wherever they might. We used to get this similar sort of thing with Chinese lanterns. You know, they used to let them go. Is a bit like with our. Is Pilton that on your patch very close to it?
Yeah, well, we've got another agent that covers it, but yeah.
No, all I'm going to come from on that, our friend Mr. Evis, at one time, all his complaints were about sound and antisocial behaviour and all such things as that. And in more recent times, it was down to the Chinese lanterns, because if you let a lantern up, let it go, he's got to land in a particular place. And quite often the lanterns are constructed, there's like a wire inside. They land in the grass, which on the face of it, not a problem. But what used to happen then is the old forage harvester comes along, chops it all up. In the winter, we're feeding our cattle, and you've got your best prize cow with a good sort of like mouthful of bits of wire, which next thing you've got your best prize cow, which is sadly no longer. So, but luckily there was a ban put on the lanterns down there, and that all came to, it was all well supported by Michael, and we don't get the problems with that. We lost ourselves for a second there.
So that's fine.
Yeah.
So, going on to things that you are currently doing in the community, are you currently doing your home safety visits? And
with home safety visit at this moment in time, we're prioritising the real, what I call the real vulnerable ones. We're still carrying out, and the ordinary full visits are tended to be put on hold. We were starting to get back in with those, but as at tomorrow, it's going to be high priority again. So if people have got no detectors, or if they've got detectors which aren't working, the favourite is, you know, when your battery gets low or whatever, it plays that. Generally speaking, that starts at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're in bed asleep and such things as that. So we'll go out, we will replace to make sure that people have got adequate working detectors. Another one of that is the sensory loss. If people have got hearing impairment, what we'll do is we'll fit a unit which, if Mrs. Smith at night, hearing aids come out, they go on the side, so she wouldn't hear a detector. We've got a special unit there that by the side of the bed would have a flashing strobe light. Under the pillow there's a vibrating pad, so although Mrs. Smith wouldn't hear it, the light flashing and the vibration would wake her up, and then she can get to a place of safety. So if also we're doing it at the moment, we get the occasional arson threat. So that seems to be high priority. Also, another one we see a lot of these days is hoarding. In hoarding, that comes in sort of two forms usually. You've got what I call where sadly a family member might have passed away, and we've got a lot of good surplus furniture and such things. And on the other side, you go to some places and it is just clutter and rubbish and such. But we work with another agency which can help us to clear the hoarding. It's a bit, I always call it the Mr. Trebus syndrome. I don't know if any of you know, but years ago there was a program called The Life of Crime, and there was this gentleman up in, I say London, he was up that part of the world, and his place was really sort of cluttered, and they'd help him out, and he'd end up going and replacing all the rubbish that they'd sort of got rid of and such things, and eventually he went into care, and well, he actually stayed there come finished. But let's say the Mr. Trevis, it was just a load of basically rubbish, which was, yeah, no need.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we haven't got a crystal ball. So if people have got a problem and they need to get out of us, we've got a free phone telephone number, which is 0800 05 02 999. And you'll speak to a lovely member of our team down at Exeter. And as I say, if you haven't got detectors, if they're not working, we will come out. But as I say, the ordinary general sort of visits are going to be put on hold. You'll probably get a phone call just for someone to have a bit of a chat through to just make sure everything is okay. And then we'll arrange to come when conditions allow. But I say, if you know that your detectors aren't working or you haven't got them, let us know and we'll come and do the necessary.
So is that relevant for people of all ages? Because I know that there used to be an age limit of 55 or something for you to be able to give out.
Yeah, the thing is, what we'll do is if we've got, say, what I call Middle England, then we will probably encourage them to perhaps do it themselves. If for whatever reason people can't, then we will come out and we'd sooner come out and fit them. But let's say at this moment in time, the critical thing is people have got adequate working smoke detection in their homes. Yeah.
Okay, so if there was somebody that was on, a limited income, and they were struggling, then that would be something that you'd be able to go out.
The thing is, we wouldn't means test, but say at the moment, like you say, anybody if they haven't got working detectors, then we will come out and we'll make sure. Another priority at the moment is thatch, because we're at the time of year when people are starting to have open fires and sort of such things. Another area which we will come out and we're deemed higher priority.
Right. Okay. Excellent. Is there any questions from anybody who's watching? We've got a couple of people watching. So if there's any questions, then please feel free to stick them in the chat box and I'll ask as we're going along. And hopefully Hannah is there and she can post in the telephone number that you just said. Say that that'll be available for everybody when we've finished up and they want to watch it back.
Yeah. Because I say normally, like I say, when we come and do our visit, a visit for those who don't know about our visits, it's basically threefold. Number one, we're looking to identify the causes of fire, therefore reduce the chance of fire in the first place. Number two, that you've got something in place, so if there is a problem, the resident is aware of it. And number three, in the event of, they can get to a place of safety. So
with your people that you're going out as kind of hoarders and things like that, is that something that you can record for your knowledge going forward? Because obviously that's an issue for you guys if you get a fire in there.
Yeah, because as I say, sometimes what we'll do is if we've got particular issues for particular properties or whatever, that'll be recorded so that if we get an operational incident, the crews attending have got a heads up as to what they might be presented with. Generally speaking, we usually do that with, say, business premises, but if we know a particular resident, there's a particular issue, because sadly, this day and age, you have to get some residents who are pretty much bedbound and only able to exit with the assistance, which normally that would be the carers come in and get them into bed and out of bed and such things. But like I say, all that sort of thing would be recorded. So we haven't got a crystal ball. So unless somebody tells us, and like I say, with those individuals, it's all recorded. So on our appliances, the crews would be aware.
Excellent. We have got a question that's come in. Morning, Jeanette. It says, if you have a wood burner, would it be safe to put a flat screen television on the wall high above?
You really would like to sort of keep it far enough away so that heat doesn't affect it.
Right. But it would still be safe to do it as
yeah. If it's way up out the way, because like I say, with a wood burner, if the chimney's lined, then the heat is contained within either the burner itself, so there's no direct effect on the TV.
Is there anything particular that you would definitely kind of not like to see when you go and do a home visit?
Yeah, we got quite a list of those actually. No, it's things like use of candles, electricity. Electricity is a favourite in so much as if you look in your home today compared to say 20 years ago, the amount of electrical equipment, there's just no comparison. So with electrics, what we don't like to see, you know, the little square adapters, we don't like to see those. So what we carry the long four-way adapters. So
Right.
we give those out, because if your house was built or wired, say back in the 70s, you might get a few single sockets scattered around. Whereas now, if you have your house wired now, plenty of sockets. Rule of thumb with electrical equipment, use it as per manufacturer's instructions. Something's designed to be left on, your fridge, your freezer, if it's got a clock on, designed to be left on. Other than that, if it's not in use, switch it off. Favorite these days is chargers. People got a tendency to use the phone all day and let it charge up all night. But like I say, our teaching would be to charge it up during the day when you're up and about. It's the same as all your laundry appliances. Again, use them during the day when you're up and about. If there's a problem, you're aware of it. But sometimes people, if they got, say, off-peak electric, you know, like storage heaters, they get a cheap boost middle of the night. So what will happen there is they'll put the timer to come on. So the washing machine comes on 3 o'clock in the morning. If there's a problem, the first thing you'd be aware of it is when the smoke detector goes off. So they say, we encourage people, if it's not in use, to use it, to switch it off. But like I say, all those white sort of appliances and that, we all do it. Dishwasher's a favourite. You load it up, you press a button, you disappear off upstairs. When you work out how many appliances are out there and how many go 40, it's minimal. But then you also get issues with new appliances. Recently, you had the old Hot Point recall, tumble dryers and sort of such things. Over the course of time, we've had fridges and freezers. We've had Candy washing machines. We've had Bosch dishwashers, and they've all been new appliances. So, but when you buy that piece of equipment, you get it registered. You know, you get that little card, you fill it out and send it back. Our teacher or advice is you always do that, because if it's a product recall, they'll contact you, as opposed to you by chance seeing it on TV or in the local paper. Same as cars. Every time you get a product recall, because they've identified a manufactured problem and they'll let you know, as opposed to you sadly being one of those people that have had the fire. I work the Oval area, and within our patch, we had 2 serious fires caused by those tumble dryers. So it's not just them in London and Manchester. It does still happen on our own doorstep.
Yeah. Wow. So definitely get your appliance registered then.
Yeah, it's good practice. Yeah, but like I say, coming up to Christmas, the old use of cables and say again leads and adapters and sort of such things is that we probably get most of our calls are kitchen related. Hot fat, not necessarily the good old chip pan, but we still see 1 or 2 of those where, you know, the old saucepan with a wire basket and dip it in and all the rest of it. But anything to do with hot fat can be a problem. Even like you say with the grill pans, woks, and it can be when you get distracted. somebody comes to the door or the phone rings or whatever, the young family, the little baby plays up, you take your eye off the ball, it gets to a certain temperature and it will ignite. So it's careful cooking.
Pay attention.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, well, we haven't got any other questions that have come in. So unless you've got anything else that you can think of that you want to kind of highlight and just say, then I think we'll kind of go.
Yeah, I'd say from our side of things, say with the fireworks and with the bonfires, a lot of it is down to that thing called common sense. Take care with yourselves and also with a consideration to animals, whether it be your domestics or your farm animals and such things. You see on TV where the youngsters have been firing fireworks all across the sort of town and all such things as that. And luckily, we don't get that sort of thing around here. Touch the old wood. But as I say, our potential issue this year is the fact that where there's no organised events, there's going to be more in people's back gardens. Just take care.
Pay attention to what you're doing, take care, and avoid it if you can.
Yeah. That's the one. Yeah.
I have had another question pop in now. What about open fires?
Yeah, open fires. A lot of it depends on what you're burning. If it's a coal fire, burn seasoned timber. If you can burn timber, otherwise you get a line of the up through the chimney. At night, make sure that fire guards put up. Have it swept on a regular basis, depending on what you're burning and how often. Because with some people, it could be the main form of heating. Others is just night times and in weekends. But I say if also with that tar, sometimes people burn stuff like old railway sleepers and all that sort of thing. But again, use it as you should do. We're in this sort of scenario now where cold night last night, people are starting to use them, and we will get them wood burners, fires.
Yeah. So again, just make sure that your chimney's swept really, and keep it up together, and
that's it.
To have a problem.
Yeah.
Can you just give us the telephone number again to be able to get home visit?
0800 05 02 999.
Hopefully Hannah's going to put that in there any second. Just for it again.
But if anybody's got any questions other than what we've talked about today, go through on that number or come through to yourselves, and we can speak directly to some of the residents if they have got concerns. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, well, I think that's us done. So thank you very much, Mike, and we'll be back again next week for Mendip's Talking Cafe on the Wednesday. Lovely. Thank you very much.
No problem.